Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV, and with some breaking news from Dublin, the capital of the Republic of Ireland. People of Europe are finally waking up, slowly but surely. There is a new movement going around mostly the Western European countries. Of course, we've seen similar footage from France, Germany and other places. Now it has reached the Republic of Ireland. We're still waiting for the similar things to actually happen in England, but of course it's going to take a while. We are talking about today thousands and thousands of Irish patriots in Dublin have decided to rise up and protest against illegal mass migration. Of course, it's a generally mass migration. Of course, the idea is to focus on illegal migration, which is the government's fault directly. But the idea is to also point out the flaws in the mass migration policy program, which is essentially at this point, considering the sizes of small European countries and the resources, we can call it open borders. You know, they're not literally open, but they are open enough for anybody to come in and stay around without even being vetted, their backgrounds being vetted. They are undermining the legitimate legal migrants who are still waiting in the queue wherever they are. Hello to everybody in the live chat. We're going to be showing you some videos that we received from today. Of course, in the centre of Dublin has now been completely occupied by Patriots, but we also at the same time have been seeing Antifa and the far left and the pro-open borders brigade coming out to do a counter-protest. So the police in Dublin had a bit of a tough job today, trying to keep peace between both sides. We had signs being carried by the far left saying we have to be welcoming to everybody. Internationalism should be promoted, open borders, free movement and everything else. Whilst the government in Ireland is getting closer to the European Union, people in Ireland are getting more disillusioned, of course, with the system. We'll get your reaction in the live chat. I can see we already have a couple of super chats as well. But first things first, let's go to the video number 1. Now, this was just the beginning of the march. As I said, we also have a couple of videos showing the Antifa and the left-wing liberals and all the others, pro-migrant people coming out to counter-protest, which is absolutely hilarious. They were much smaller in numbers. For example, let's have a look at this. I mean, of course, you're going to see Palestinian flags in the middle of that counter-protest. Why would you bring a Palestinian flag? So we had a couple of weird signs. So the people on the right-hand side were obviously pro-migration and open borders and Antifa and all the other weirdos. One of the signs that they were carrying is the funny thing about the political left. They still have not really understood or realized that they are now the establishment. So there was a sign that said people before profit. Now, this would have been fine when the political left were carrying this 20, 30 years ago, right? People before profit. But then when the establishment was essentially more free market capitalist. Now, the establishment themselves who are promoting mass migration and open borders, they are doing it because they keep coming on TV and telling us this is good for GDP. This is good for the economy, for profits and everything else. So they are actually undermining people in the country, saying profit before people. But the idiots on the political left, they're still carrying those signs that are so outdated because the political left are no longer the left anyway. They're not really fighting on behalf of the working classes, for example, that they claimed to be supporting, right? That's why we had that situation. Also, I've been checking the mainstream media outlets. So far, no real reporting going on any of them, as usual, but it doesn't matter, because 2CTV is here to keep you guys posted and informed. And as I said, that we are now at 390,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. We're getting close to 400k. Let's go to the next video. Absolutely beautiful scene. So you've got, of course, all patriots from the nationalist and conservative movements and all the anti-mass migration movements across Dublin who got together to organise this protest. Now, of course, there's a coalition of different groups, and the whole point is we have to put aside politics. And this is about protecting your country, your nations, your tribe, your borders. And the fact that the media are going around saying the far right are coming out, the fact that you have Antifa organising counter-protests, it's them. They are making it about politics, not the so-called far right, not the patriots, not the nationalists, not the conservatives. Because if you come out, just like what we did in Telford a couple of weeks ago, where we obviously I was joined with by Tommy Robinson and many others, and that was about obviously the grooming gang crisis and scandal. Nobody in the crowd made it about politics. Nobody even, as you saw the live stream, I live streamed the whole thing. Nobody even insulted anybody. Nobody targeted, for example, random ordinary Muslims. Nobody even mentioned them. It was against establishment. It was not political. But when the media report these sort of things, they make it political. When the far left organize counter-protests, they make it political. They want to label you, to undermine you, to crush your movement. And they have successfully done this for a long time. Why do you think, back in the noughties and early 2010s and late 90s, in Britain itself, not many people were brave enough to come out to even talk about immigration? If you were to mention it, even in your local area, or in a taxi with a taxi driver, you'll get in trouble. I mean, not a taxi driver, but other places. Obviously, things change after the 2010s. Slowly, the rise of counterculture, the rise of course, populism, conservatism, and with Brexit happening, Donald Trump's election, and everything else that happened, Le Pen, the movement. More people decided to start slowly talking about it. And we had more people also becoming more influencers, public figures. You had Douglas Murray, you had everybody else also joining, where we didn't really have those people before. We also have new media outlets, citizen journalists rising up. So we are fighting back. It's just a matter of timing. Let's go to the next video. This is again another clip from today where it shows the clash between the spoiled middle class Antifa with mummy and daddy issues who come out to do a counter-protest to promote internationalism and open borders. Let's go. The funniest thing and the most ironic situation with this whole day was the fact that, apart from the Palestinian flags, which is still hilarious to see in the middle of Dublin, apart from that, you literally had Antifa. Now, for those who are not familiar with Antifa, they claim to be anti-fascist, but they themselves are the fascists. We know that. They are also in favor of defunding the police. They are literally what they call left-wing anarchists, right? They believe in communism, essentially, which is a kind of oxymoron. You can't really have anarchy or libertarianism and then promoting communism, which is more state control. But these people are against the police, are against the establishment, right? Who were they on the side of, in terms of literally on the side of the road? The police. They were literally hiding behind the police line. The police were protecting the Antifa, and the Antifa were very happy to be protected by the police, the same police that they want to defund, essentially. It's absolutely hilarious how these spoiled little middle class kids, privileged kids, who after the counter protest, they're going to go to Starbucks, get their avocado lattes and everything else. Oh, they're going to love it. Oh, they lap it up. Absolute idiots. These are the same people who claim to be anti-establishment, but when it comes to their own establishment political figures and presidents and prime ministers, oh, they become massive sycophants. Absolute sycophants. So, let's go to the next clip that we have from Dublin today. Absolute crazy scenes from Dublin. Let's now go to the live chat, get some of your reaction, ladies and gentlemen. We actually have a couple of super chats first, and then I'll come to the rest of you as well. Big shout out to George. Thank you so much for your super chat. We also have Mark Shepherd actually saying, from the Thames to the Channel, let's stop all this flannel. Thank you, Mark, for your super chat. We also have a couple of the normal comments in the chats. Hans Archive says, ideology is not just England or West is dying because the majority have become morons because of good, wealthy, safe life. People lost their instincts and now they are self-distracting themselves. This is actually a very good assessment of the situation, because in the Western world, that also includes the United States and Canada, similar places, Anglosphere in general, we had essentially the beacon of hope was essentially the capitalists, right? The evil capitalists. But anybody who actually started a business or a farm or a ranch or whatever you had, those who actually ended up doing things for themselves, for their family, they also contribute to the community and the country in general. They were always also very patriotic. Now, we still have some of them. But as we got closer to a more socially liberal but still capitalist society, we now have a lot of people who are getting rich, getting comfortable, getting the privilege, becoming very educated and getting good jobs and good careers, mostly in big cities. They no longer are the defenders of the nation or the culture. That is the issue. You know, the same people who were becoming successful, or the industry leaders, or in the local communities, the successful farmers back in the day, in all our countries, they were also very much, and they still are, patriotic. But now they've been replaced by the other people who are making more of their money in the economy. That's all the people in the cities with a very, very plastic, generic careers where they all do the same thing, 9 to 5, and they give so much stress to themselves, where sometimes they have a heart attack by the time they get 40, just to climb that career ladder, that corporate ladder. But they're not really as conservative as the others used to be. Paul says, here in India, we are already seeing where these jihadist Muslims have replaced the tribal and other minorities. But yeah, the same problem that we're currently having in all our countries. The liberal left kept saying this is multiculturalism, and multiculturalism should be celebrated, right? At this point, it's no longer even multiculturalism, because it's when you have one culture dominating over all the others in each community, in each area, just like what we heard even from India. That's no longer multiculturalism. There are places in Birmingham and Luton and Glasgow and even London where you can't really go if you're a white blonde girl on your own. You're not going to be welcomed, at best. Anthony Massey says, Dublin protests were described as a far right on Irish radio. Clowns. It's funny, isn't it? Now, if they are being literal about it, if by far right you mean nationalist, then yes, of course, it's far right. It's nationalist, right? But we know exactly why they say far right. The media, the press, and all the other activists and all the other leftists, the reason they say far right, they don't really mean nationalist, they mean fascist, which is absolutely hilarious considering fascism is a very specific ideology. Now, if these people, or anybody in England protesting against grooming gangs, if they come out in the crowd and start chanting policy ideas like nationalizing all industries and centralizing all powers to the government, then I'll be like, well, yes, that is far right. That's fascism. Yeah, that was what Mussolini was talking about. But nobody's talking about that. If you're going to nationalize all industries and increase taxes and bring down free market capitalism and promote big government, then yes, that's far right. That's fascism, yeah. But that's not what we're saying. We're simply talking about nationalism. We're simply saying, can we just protect our borders and look after our own people first? And limit the numbers of even legal migrants coming at this point, because it's gone too far. And those who say, well, what about all the migrants who already come? What about you, Maya? Your mother was a political refugee. Yeah, but that was in the past now. What are you going to do now? So you can't really continue to bring more people in, especially without vetting their backgrounds. Now, do you think it was easy for my mother to come here? She was vetted so many times. She was actually saved by the British Embassy itself anyway. That's a whole different case. But you can't really just get on a boat and bring everybody else. You're undermining not just the whole country, but also a few good legal migrants who are still in the queue and could actually contribute, could actually integrate. You're completely messing up the whole thing. Lisa Harvey, thank you so much for your super sticker support. And we have Colonel saying, I am living in Ireland and this didn't even make the news headlines. What a surprise. I mean, the sad thing. I mean, even the fact that some people in Ireland still haven't really heard about this massive gathering in Dublin, that's a problem. Now, as I said, while nobody really watches the mainstream media anymore, obviously independent new media outlets like 2CTV are growing, and we are getting close to 400k subscribers, but you still need them to report it, because certain people in the establishment or close to the establishment only watch the mainstream media, whether you like it or not. And if they don't feel the pressure from the media, they're not going to do anything about it. Essentially, there are members of parliament, there are local politicians and bureaucrats who would listen to the radio or watch their TV, and if this today in Dublin doesn't reach the headlines, they're not going to do anything about it, because they feel that there is not enough pressure. They feel they can just ignore it. That's exactly what's been going on with every issue in all our countries. Perfect example is the grooming gang scandals in England for decades. Even right now, when something big happens, they mention it a little bit. But RTE in Ireland at this point, they're as bad as the BBC. And there's not much difference. RTE, BBC, CNN, Fox News, Sky News. I mean, even Fox News sometimes these days, but you know how things are. The good days of Fox News is also over. But we are where we are. Even the more recent mainstream media channels in this country is still a little bit backwards and analog. Bill tells everybody in the live chat, stop talking and start acting. Yes. David says these people want Sharia law. Yes, of course. The thing is, they are. I'm guessing you talk about the Islamists, not the Irish nationalists. Imagine if the Irish Patriots go on the street. Well, we don't want migration. We want Sharia. They're open about it. The Islamists are. They're no longer hiding. I mean, a couple of days ago on Saturday, when we were out to report for you guys from central London, the Islamist protest anti-Israel, I was shocked that this time they're not even hiding it. Until now, they were kind of subtle about certain things, right? They would chant from the river to the sea, but they would say, no, we're just being peaceful. But now you literally had the flags of the Islamic Republic of Iran. They had literally the flags of Syria and Yemen and everything else being flown. You had direct signs against not just the Jews, but Christians and white people and everything. Fascinating. Rita Ferraz says it's happening in Portugal, but the mainstream media and the left are calling us racist and Nazis. Whatever. These times are terrifying. Sorry, my English. No, your English is absolutely perfect, Rita. Thank you very much for your comment and thank you for watching the real news, 2CTV. Right. By the way, I mean, obviously, I'm very happy and thankful that the channel is growing. We're close to 400,000. But I can't really take all the credit. It's actually thanks to you guys. If it weren't for you guys having my back, despite all the ups and downs, I couldn't be here. So thank you so much. Thanks for all the love and support. And I'm sure that a lot of you are watching this. You are now new to the channel. So there's the button underneath called subscribe. Click on it now. All right, let's go. Ronald Bell says that they don't have to hide it anymore because they have the establishment behind them. Exactly. This is the fascinating thing about when I say political left, I'm basically talking about anybody who in the 21st century is against the Western civilization and Western values. That includes the Islamists, that includes at this point the liberal left as well as the far left, the socialist left. The problem that we have, which is absolutely hilarious, I'm going to show you that video again from Dublin today. We're going to show you some of the clips. The video I showed you about the so-called Antifa in Dublin doing a counter-protest was a perfect example. They were hiding behind the police line. They were being protected by the police. But they still, when they go out there, they try to promote defund the police. They say we are anti-establishment. They haven't realized. I mean, some of them are actually stupid. Some of them are really stupid. They don't know that they are the establishment now. They are still using the same rhetoric as Karl Marx. Like, when Karl Marx, that idiot, was writing that sort of nonsense, it was because actually he was anti-establishment. And the establishment were not listening to him. Rightly. But it made sense. You can't really... It's like basically Adolf, after like 1933 and everything that's happened since then, would still stand on a podium, start attacking the establishment. You are the establishment now, Adolf. You can't do that anymore. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about that idiot. Let's go to that video I told you about. Look at this footage again. This is the Antifa side and the pro-Palestinians. Obviously, you bring Palestinian flags into it. You are hiding behind the police line. It's funny. The insanity, it's absolutely hilarious. They're standing there, yeah, we're against the evil establishment, the right-wingers. Yeah, please protect me from these scary nationalists. Oh, so scary. So that's what they're doing now. And the fact that we now currently have, we're being attacked by different corners. You got the political ideology of Islam, you got socialism, you got globalism, which is no longer the main platform for what we used to call free market capitalists, which were more center-right, conservative-minded people. You would think that globalism, capitalism should go hand in hand. Not anymore. Corporations are becoming woke. Everything is becoming stupid. We've now replaced big government with big businesses. Globalism is no longer about capitalism. It's about corporatism. So all these idiots are targeting us, and they still pretend that they are the underdogs. I mean, if at this point they genuinely see us as we are more powerful, we have to tell ourselves we are more powerful than we think we are. We have the silent majority behind us. We're just not doing anything about it. So we have the numbers because that's how they see us. Maybe they're saying the truth and we are not seeing it yet. Maybe we have to rise up. Also, the situation with the Palestinian flag is absolutely hilarious. And obviously, there's still a big chunk of the people in the Republic of Ireland who have this nostalgia of supporting a Palestinian cause because of the underdog situation. Like, come on, guys. You've got your country now. You are the establishment, the left of the Irish politics. Under No Flag says, check your subscription. I keep getting unsubscribed. Yes, this is a big problem, by the way, on YouTube. It happens. So if you're watching this right now, make sure to regularly check your subscription thing, because if you find the videos, because you do get unsubscribed every now and then, some of you. John says, oh yeah, that's actually about what I was talking about. The Irish support of Palestine is a mess when you drill into the details of arguments. My family and friends in Dublin don't really know what's happening in Gaza. Exactly. I mean, it's a very good point about the ignorance of it, but people just have ideas on the surface without actually thinking about it. They feel more than they think, and this is the problem with our cultures in general. Super chat from Peter Green. Thank you so much, Peter, saying Mrs. Tootsie. Mrs. Tootsie? Mrs. Tootsie and her little brat have integrated just a... Oh, right, my mother. She's not a Tootsie, but yeah. She kept her name. How dare she? Obviously, after the divorce. Mark Shepherd, thank you so much for your super chat, saying, I can't believe that if the RNLI have the balls to ask for donations on TV. You also get your name on the boat. There is no room for British names. Don't get me started with those guys. The thing is, yeah, that with the border force, you kind of have to say, when the boats, small boats from France get close to Dover, the border force have to welcome them, because they have to pick them up. Otherwise, they'll get lost in the system. So I get it. I'm still criticizing border force in general, but I get the point of it. RNLI go deep into the English Channel, and they like pick him up, and they bring him to the border force. Like, what are you doing? Leave him alone. I'm like, no, but they could have drowned. But were they drowning? No, but they could have. Like, it's none of your business. Why are you going towards France to pick up migrants? It's just complete stupidity, and no one's questioning it. One sentence says, a genuine question, Maya. How do you deal with all the mental side of all of this? It definitely takes a toll on my mind. Well, you have to be, you don't want to be in my head. So for those who know, 2CTV is basically 24/7, almost. That means, well, it's not, it's from when I'm awake until I go to sleep. I have to do, sometimes we do live streams towards the end of the night. But that means, technically, my brain is working 24/7. I'm wired in 24/7. And you don't want to be in my head. And that's why this channel's policy is to bring humor into it and to go with light-hearted stuff as well. Because otherwise, if you don't laugh, it will be too dark and depressing. So, and I know that if you were to watch old school, old-fashioned news channels on TV, then they would just make you depressed completely anyway. So I'm trying my best to, see it from a different perspective, I guess, and bring a bit of hope, I guess, because while things are tough, if you don't introduce hope into the debate, how are you going to unite people eventually? And those who are going to get into frontline politics, hopefully if they watch this channel, it might help them. I don't know. Tomato soup, brilliant. As it says, proud of your island. We are also proud of Ireland and its people, not the establishment. Jim says, oh yeah, about the RNLI situation. Let the F's swim. They're not even drowning. They're still on the boat and they go drag him towards Dover. It makes no sense. Teresa says, a lot of Irish people are heartbroken that our country has been brought to this. The country has been through enough. It's absolutely sad, by the way. So there are two specific nations that I actually feel sad about. Forget about England, forget about Britain, forget about Germany, forget about Sweden. America and Ireland, for very similar reasons but different levels. America, was America. Golden days of America, especially in late 19th century, early 20th century, right? A lot of issues as well. But they built it. They built it from scratch. Look at it now. Complacency. And then created complicity. Those who actually wanted to completely corrupt the system. The Republic of Ireland, even worse. As the entity that is the Republic of Ireland, it is a very fresh country. And despite being a new country, despite the history of it, and despite our, differences between the British side and the Irish, luckily, eventually, the Republic side and most of Britain became obviously friendly allies. Still issues in Northern Ireland. But the Republic actually created a good country. Very stable, great economy, low taxes. Look at it now. It's been infected just like the rest of us. Now we could say countries like Germany, Britain, France, all the more established countries of Europe, the establishment, it was their fault. They didn't see, they should have seen it coming. They are used to ups and downs throughout history. We know the history. We know invasions. We know enemies. There's no excuse for any of our politicians who are supposed to know history as well to allow this to happen. But it's sad to see when a new country, a relatively new country, whether it's America or Republic of Ireland, turn into this. They're still going through their peak, the golden days. Not anymore. David says, time to hold all the leaders who did this accountable. The problem is, it's literally everyone. So you can't really pinpoint at any specific leader anymore. It became the system. It's the consensus that did this. Internationalism became the norm decades ago without even telling anybody or asking anybody for a consent or referendum or any manifesto. They just did it and we just accepted it. And now we're finally realizing, oh, it's getting too late. I believe we have some breaking news. I'm just going to get it confirmed. We do have some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. His Majesty, let me just confirm this, bring it up for you guys as we are still live. His Majesty King Charles III has now been diagnosed with cancer. I believe it's prostate, is it? So let me just double check. Yes, prostate cancer. Yes, King Charles III has now actually been diagnosed. He started his treatment today, according to Buckingham Palace. The palace spokesperson has said His Majesty has been treated for benign prostate enlargement. It was during this intervention that the separate issue of concern was noted and subsequently diagnosed as a form of cancer. This second condition will now receive appropriate treatment. So that's the latest breaking news from this one's from England, obviously, about the king. But yeah, it's also, of course, very, very different to the situation in Ireland, because of course people watching this from Ireland are like, we don't have a king, go away. Anyway, obviously we'll keep you guys posted on that as well. Let's have a look at your comments again if we missed anything else. Okay, if you just joined us late, I'm just going to show you what you might have missed. Let's go to some of the clips from today's protests in Dublin. So that was the Irish Patriots today, and none of this has now actually been reported by the mainstream media as usual, but it's okay. 2CTV is here to continue to report everything fresh and breaking for you guys, and thanks to your support again. We are getting close to 400,000. Once again, massive thank you for all the support. We're going to come back later on with more news updates because I believe we have something about, yes, the latest updates in regards to the farmers revolution in the European Union. It's all kicking off again in Brussels and of course in other countries like France as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi and we are the media.